Okay, I want to go on and point out on this piece, I've already used the dry brush technique pretty much to apply the whole base coat. Especially you'll notice in the grooves, around some of the details, it's really, you know, I left the wood to show through. I didn't really want to cover it totally solidly, just like with the chair that I just recently finished and revealed on the blog. I wanted some parts to have a lot of wood, you know, peeking through. You know, and then once I'm done adding this dry brush layer of Old White, I can go back and distress it if I like. Last time I wound up not even really needing to, since I didn't really add too much paint originally. So a lot of times when I'm dry brushing, I'll even just use the top of the paint can, you know, and I'll get my paint from there, because this is all, you know, you're gonna need on your brush, just a little bit, and then you're gonna dab it so that it is literally dry. I hope you can see that really well. Totally dry, really. I usually like to start in a grooved area, or maybe like on the side, because it's the easiest to apply. You know, a flat surface is a little trickier. You have to decide which, you have to kind of play with it, you know, move your brush a different way, you know, kind of mess around with it so that you don't feel like that it's just super obvious brush strokes, because that to me looks sort of, I don't want to say cheap, but I guess just not really refined. It doesn't look like it's aged over time, and this is the finish of an antique piece of furniture. So I'm usually going to start, excuse me, in a smaller spot, really light. Even though I'm going over and over, I'm just barely letting my brush touch the furniture, and I'll just layer it. Anytime you're talking about like maybe an edge, I usually just use this kind of motion here. And then I'll dab a little bit more, barely. I mean, you know, I would rather have to apply way more than to apply so much that I really don't like the finish that's turning out. So it's hard to talk and think artistically at the same time, by the way. So then, you know, once I kind of get started and I kind of feel comfortable, you know, I'll start moving to some lower areas, some more flat surfaces. By the way, anytime that you're working on an edge, you know, the easiest thing to just receive a little bit of paint is just to kind of flip your brush back and forth on that edge. It's going to immediately give it a little bit of something. And I'll be a little heavy on the edge. And then I'll go back and use this way. So, you know, for kind of that speckledy thing we got going on, you know, usually keep your brush, you know, lay it horizontally, whereas, you know, you can turn it up and down vertically and go back and forth if you're just trying to hit these edges. And I usually just do a combination of both. You know, I never know how I'm going to like it. There's not one. This is a very artistic part of painting furniture. You shouldn't be too fretful about it. You should just kind of play with it and just see what you like. Not super particular here. The awesome thing though is as you're applying your paint, you're going to start noticing just tendencies that the wood has underneath. You're going to notice, for instance, I'm seeing that where I've applied the paint a little more sparingly on the base coat, it tends to kind of almost bring out a grain effect, or it'll be like I'm hitting a little ridge in the center, so it kind of has a nice little bit of focal point there. So you'll start noticing things like that, and that's the awesome part. You know, I think it's totally fine to, sorry, like I said, it's kind of difficult to talk at the same time. I think it's totally fine to get some bigger brush strokes. Just be careful with those, because you know, if the whole piece had this on it, it would not look really antique or aged. It would just look like I took my brush and blobbed, you know, a lot of white paint on top of this gray, and it wouldn't really look very authentically layered. So it's all about just a light hand. You know, like I said, grooves sometimes are easier than flat surfaces. As you get started, you're gonna just figure out ways that you like to do it. You're gonna see, oh, you know, it's easy when I hold the brush this way. And that's why I always say to people, painting furniture is such an artistic thing, especially when you're painting, you know, by hand. because, you know, you really do have to just mess around with it. And people ask me all the time, you know, why this turns out well or that. Honestly, I don't even know. I think that I am not afraid to mess up a piece of furniture. It does not occur to me to worry, you know, if it's going to turn out right. I just know it will. It'll be fine. So this is pretty much how it works. I wish it was a lot more complicated. But I just thought maybe if you could see me doing it, you might feel, you know, like with other things we've done video tutorials on, you might feel more confident just to, you know, give it a whirl yourself. So I hope it does. And again, when you're hitting these edges, I think it's pretty cool to just kind of slightly touch the edges with your paintbrush so that it really makes a pretty little detail there. Oh, my dogs. And I know some of my YouTube followers have gotten mad at me for having dogs and kids in the background, but guess what, guys? That's my life. So, anyway, I really hope that this helps. Flat areas, just really, honestly, I have no tips other than just start. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start noticing you like it better when you hold it a certain way. You're not gonna feel as maybe intimidated by the way it comes off the brush or the way it feels like you're putting too much paint on or not enough. You'll begin to kind of get a feel.